Hello wonderful people, it's Wild here. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to build this enchanted treehouse. This grand build has an almost temple-like feel that has been taken over by nature, and you can see the crumbling ruins of the archways surrounding the magical tree. This really is a show-stopping build. And once you head inside, you can climb up the glow vines all the way up into the canopy of the tree. What an epic base to create! Now while this build might look complicated, we'll be going step by step, and if you'd like a world download, check out the link in the description below to head over to Patreon. The materials you'll need for this build are on your screen now. Keep in mind that if you can't get any of these supplies, you can leave a comment and I'd be happy to offer some substitutions. With a build like this, it's also useful to have a few extra of each supply on hand. Here is the outline for today's build. You can see that while it looks fairly complicated, it is really just a circle. We've got all 12 of our pillars marked in, so let's have a look. If we come down, you can see that on each of these flatter looking sides, we have a post, then we have 3 blocks and another pillar here. Then as we come around, we have this kind of L shape, another one of our pillars, that L shape or kind of a Tetris block shape in reverse, and another one, and we're back round to start the pattern. So once again, here is our outline, and you can put in an outline like this one to help you build. We're going to begin this build by starting on the base of all of our pillars. Each one is the same, so we're going to begin by placing in 4 of our chiseled quartz blocks with a stone in the center. I'm then going to place a temporary block. I've got some green wool here, but any temporary block will do. I'll place a verdant frog light above that. I can remove that block and replace it with a lever, which I'll then flip, and I can surround all sides of my frog light with some iron trapdoors. Then to cover up the lever, we're going in with some mossy stone brick stairs. Just like that. On top of here, we're going to place in a chiseled stone brick, followed by another frog light, and we want to make sure these are facing upwards, not like this, upwards. And I'll add on 3 of my quartz pillars at the top. 1, 2, 3. So our base will look like that, and I'm going to repeat this all the way around the build. If you're enjoying today's video and would like to access some additional benefits like world downloads for this and all my other builds, and access to a multi-world server, check out my Patreon. I'd love to have you join my community, and I'd really appreciate your support. Let's keep building. Now that I've got the base of all these pillars in, we're going to add an extra block to each of these with our quartz pillars to make them 4 blocks tall with the quartz pillars on top of that frog light. And then we're going to be using some of these pillars coming forward. So on these ones that are facing on the flat side, we're going to have them come out to the side they're facing. Then I'll come around and have them facing out this way, and finally over here. Then for the corner ones, we're going to have 2 pillars coming out on both sides. I'm also going to take some mossy stone brick walls, and I'm placing these on all 4 sides of these chiseled stone brick blocks. Before we add in the rest of our pillar decorations as well as some archways, we're going to work on the floor as well as some interior walls. But before we can do that, let's mark off where our doorway is going. So if this is the front, I want my doorway off to the left-hand side of the build. So I'm just going to mark that side in with a temporary block to remind me that that's where the doorway is going. Then I'm going to go around the outline of this build with some polished diorite slabs. We're just connecting up each of our pillars here. You can see that the diagonal joins have 4 slabs like this, and then on the straighter sides we have 3 slabs. We're also going to be filling in this floor with diorite, and if you're in survival and trying to save on resources, you could switch out diorite blocks like this for slabs placed at this top level. But in creative, it is easier to build with the diorite blocks. Now before we go ahead and fill all of this in, let's add in some planters. I'm going to start on the corners. So I'm going to come to these diagonal posts where we have the 2 pillars. I'll put myself in the corner like this and count 2 out. 1, 2, on a diagonal. Then I'll place a moss block on either side of this block. Let's do this on the other sides. So I'll count 1, 2, 2 blocks. 1, 2, 2 blocks. And the last one, 1, 2, and 2 blocks. Now we're going to do these 3 sides, but not the side where we have our doorway. So I'm going to count 2 blocks, 1, 2, from this slab, so 1 and 2, and then on the 3rd block I'm going to add a planter that is 3 blocks long, so the same as this slab width. 1, 2, and on the 3rd block, and again 1, 2, and on the 3rd block. And I'm going to fill in the whole rest of this circle using my polished diorite. And once you've done that, you can check that you've got these planters in the right space because they should form a sort of circle with one side missing. Let's get filling in. Now that you can clearly see the locations of these planters, let's add in some walls. I'm going to start with some chiseled stone brick, and I'm coming to these 3 wide planters and adding one off to the diagonal on either side. I'm then going to come round to the side where we have our door. I'll count in 2 blocks, and I'm going to place in a few temporary blocks here. This is where we would have a planter on this side if there was one, and that's going to help me place in my last 2 chisel blocks. There we go, I can remove these now, and they should be placed in a circle like this. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to connect all of these up using some mossy stone bricks, but on this side where we have our door, I'm going to leave 2 blocks free for our doorway. Let's add all these in. On the diagonals, we're just going to place 3 across like this. 1, 2, 3, and continue. Creating almost an octagon. Now on top of each of the chiseled stone bricks, we're going to add in 5 stone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, followed by a verdant frog light on top. Now we can work on some windows. Let's start on these 3 wide flat walls. I'm going to start with green stained glass, building up 4 high in the center. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now of course the wall with our door is different, so we'll leave that to the very end. Then on the diagonal walls, we're going to build up 4 high again. 1, 2, 3, 4, but then I'll place a mossy block on top of there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a moss block. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and fill in all of these wall panels now up to the height of these frog lights, except for our door panel with some regular stone bricks. So for the diagonals, I'm just going like this, and then for the flat walls, just like this, and I'll need to build it 2 above the height of the window with the stone brick here. Now for this last panel where we have our doorway, I'm going to build up 2 high with stone brick above the door. Then I'm going to add in a green stained glass for my window, and I can surround the rest of this panel with some stone bricks. I'm also going to go ahead and remove these temporary blocks now for our door, and I can remove these markers. Next I'm going to take some more moss, and we're just going over the whole outline at the top. This should bring you up to the same height as those pillars. Let's take a step back and have a look at what we've got now. Next, I'm going to take some mossy stone brick walls, and we'll build up 4 high with these in front of each of the stone pillars. So there's 4 high, and I'm going to do this on the other side as well. Then I'm going to switch to some stone stairs, and we're going to place an upside down one, followed by a right way up one, and we'll do this on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and do this all the way around the build. You can see that we're decorating both the forward facing side and the diagonal side here. I'll come back to doing that in a minute, but let's move on and add some archways over these 3 wide sections on the flat faces. For this, we're going to start by placing in 2 upside down stairs off of these ones here. Then I'm going to switch to stone slabs. We're going to place in 1 in line with these stairs and 1 above, creating the arch. Then to finish off this decoration, we're going to add a mossy stone brick wall in front of the frog light. Alright, let's add in all these corner decorations and these archways. I'm just doing the last one of these archways now with my stairs, my 2 slabs, and then going in with my mossy stone brick walls. So you can see that I've created this archway design on all 4 of these sides. And now we need to add some decorations to these corners. So we're going to go in with some stone stairs, and I'm going to start by placing 2 so we have this little section of moss showing through above the center in the window. I'm then going to place 2 more stairs, this time coming up to a point. So you can see it creates a smaller arch over here. Let's go ahead and add these on the other sides. We're also going to use these stairs around here at our door to create a small archway over the doorway. We're just going to add in our stairs, and they're diagonally up from the top of the door like this. Then I'm going to come up and add a stair on top of that, and that way, as well as a stair facing forward upside down in the center. While we're here, let's add in our door. I'm going to be using a spruce door, and that ties in with the wood in the tree. I've also got some end rods, and this is just going to finish this door decoration and illuminates our front entry. One thing you can keep in mind when creating this build is that if you don't have access to end rods, you could swap these out for chains. Now let's continue on some decorations out here on the pillars, creating some archways as well. I'm going to start on these flat panels, so we have the 4 around the outside. I'm going to place in an upside down stair on either side, followed by a mossy stone brick wall. Just like that. Then joining across the top of here, we're going to add in a mossy stone brick stair on either side, and then 3 of the mossy stone brick slabs, just connecting them up. I'm then going to come inside the build, and in the center I'm going to place a verdant frog light onto this slab, so that way we can see this top texture there. And I'm going to use some quartz pillars just to connect this up. So if we look from the outside, it should look like this. Next we need to create the archway, and we're using smooth quartz stairs here. I'm going to place 2 going down on either side. We're going to have a slab in the center, and then I'm going to use temporary blocks, placing 1 here and here onto those slabs. So that way I can place in some more stairs. These need to be placed like this so that the short part of the stair faces towards this gap. You can see that I'm clicking on the back corner there of the temporary block. And we'll end up with an archway that looks like this. I'm just going to add in the last decoration here now. So once again, I'm going in with my stone brick first. There we go. Next we've got our frog light and our pillars. And then we need to create the archway. Now if you're having trouble by placing the wool here to place in this stair, like this, and there we go. The other place you could put a temporary block is 1 block below here, and then you should easily be able to click in that stair. There we are. Now we need to add some similar sort of archways to these corners. We're going to do this in a bit of a 2-step process. Let's start by coming over to the side of the pillar where we have it connecting up to this flat edge, so not this one here. I'm going to add in a quartz pillar first, then I'm going to place in 2 smooth quartz stairs coming down below that. I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other side, so we've got our pillar and then 2 stairs. We're going to be jumping between these 2 archways. Next I'm going to place in 2 moss blocks, here and here, as well as some more stairs. These are going to be facing outwards, just like this. Next I'm going to grab a temporary block and place it onto these 2 stairs. That way I can add in 2 chisel quartz blocks, connecting up this stair and this moss block. I can then remove the temporary block. There we go. I'm going to add in a frog light, here and here, as well as 1 more quartz pillar on either side. So it's going to look like this. Next, we need to finish off the arch shape like we have over on the other sides. So we're going to use a few more stairs. We're going to place one off of each of these stairs and one off of each of the moss blocks. So we're continuing this line here and here, and I'm going to add in an extra smooth quartz slab. In this center section, I'm going to add a chiseled stone brick with a mossy stone brick wall below. Then we're going to take mossy stone bricks and I'm going to place one here and coming out from these two pillars, and I'll add in two mossy stone brick slabs. So our corner is going to look like this, and I'm going to repeat this design around on each of the sides, so let's get working on that. All of our archways are in now and we're ready to start working on the top layer where we're going to have our tree. I like to look at the top of a build when I'm creating something circular like this and double check that everything is symmetrical, and it is indeed. So let's work on the next step. I'm going to come down and find these corner stairs, or rather these corner pillars, and this is where I'm going to go in with a few of my stone brick stairs. I'm going to be placing in two so they're just diagonally up from these stairs and one down from the top, and they should be facing towards each other. If you're in survival or in creative, you can run around this top ring of the wall and it can make your building a little bit easier. There we go. Next, I'm going to take a slab and I'll be placing this directly behind these slabs on the flat sides. Next, I'm going to take moss blocks. I'm going to have them come across here, fall along. Then I'm going to place in two like this. Then I'll go ahead and continue this all the way around to create an outline. You can see that with the way the stairs are placed for the arches, this moss is going to peek through just a little bit. Let's have a look from the outside. You can see the moss there. I'm going to go in with some stone now, and I'm going to place this all the way around this border we've created with the stairs and the moss. There we go. We've created a smaller circle now. Then I'm going to take some mossy stone bricks and we're going to start creating an outline inside that edge. And for this edge, I'm going to be creating a little L shape around here. I'm not going to connect it up to this point though. So again, from above, our circle is looking like this. Next, we're going to go in with a few stairs. I'm going to start by placing two along either side of the flatter sides. Like that. Then I'm going to be placing one in each corner. You can see these are facing towards each other. All that's left to do is to fill in all of these gaps with some of my mossy stone brick slabs. Once we've got these in, we can have a look underneath and admire the beautiful roof we've created. This has a little bit more texture and dimension to it than just having a totally flat roof. I'm also going to go ahead and fill in this interior room, leaving a gap right in the center. To do this, I find it easiest to build across from the center of one side and then from the other side, and where they meet is the center of the build, and I can remove that slab. Then I'll just fill in the rest. Now that the top is all filled in, let's have a look underneath at the lovely design we've created. Alright, let's add in the platform for the tree. I'm going to start with some chiseled quartz blocks. I'm adding one on top of each of these pillars on the flat side, and then on the chiseled stone brick on the diagonal. And there we go. I'm then going to go in with some frog lights. On these sides, I'm going to have them coming in one from either edge. There and there. And I want to make sure they're all facing upright. And here and here. Then on the corners, I'm going to add in two. One here and one here. There we go. Next we're going to go in with some smooth quartz slabs. I'll start by connecting up across here, and then I'm going to add them following just the outline created on the edge. This is a lovely decorative border, and we're going to fill in the rest of it with some moss blocks. Make sure you leave that gap where we have the hole in the slabs. I'm going to continue filling this in a minute, but before I move on to that, I'm just going to add a few stone buttons. These are going onto the visible sides of these chiseled quartz blocks. Alrighty, back to filling in with moss. We're going to get started on the trunk now, and that is going to contain the ladder up to our treehouse. But before we do that, we're just going to add in a few blocks to this mossy base. I'm going to start at the front. I need to find this block here beside the frog light. I'm going to stand on it and count 3 in. 1, 2, 3. Then on the 4th block, I'm going to remove the moss and add in an oak wood. That's the kind that has the bark on all 4 sides. I'm going to be using this throughout the tutorial because it's easier to make sure you always have the bark showing. But if you want to use logs, you can do that. Just be careful that you have the bark texture up. Then I'm going to come around to the left hand side. I'm going to sit myself onto this block here, and I'm going to count 4 forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the 5th block, I'm going to remove these 2 and place in 2 more logs. There we go. I'm going to come around to the back of the build now. I'm going to stand on the block beside this frog light and count 4 in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the 5th block, I'm just going to remove that and add in a log. And then finally, around on this right hand side, I'm going to line myself up with the outside of this frog light, just here. And I'm going to count 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on this 6th block, we'll add in 1 log. So it just kind of looks scattered at the moment, but this is where our roots are going to dip into the ground. Now trees can be a tricky thing to build, so we're going to take it step by step. And remember, if your tree doesn't look exactly the same as mine, that's okay. You just want to make sure you have a gap in the center with no holes showing through to the outside for your ladder. And you want it to start out wider at the base, taper in, and then flare out a little bit at the top. Okay, I'm going to start by coming to the front of the build. I'm going to find this block here, and over to the side I'll add in a slab and another slab here. And we've got an oak wood coming off of that, and I'm going to flip up a trapdoor beside that. Let's build up 2 high, followed by 3 high behind that. 1, 2, 3. Over to this side I'll add in a block as well as to this side, and we'll add in a stair here and a slab here. I'm also going to place a trapdoor onto this block. Behind here, I'm going to build up 7 high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this should line up with the side of the hole. Then on this side where we have the stair, I'll build up 5 high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to come to this side with the slab and build up 2 high. 1, 2. I'm going to place a stair on top of here, just like this, as well as a stair up here. And then we're going in with some trapdoors. Let's add in 1 down here, just like this. Now I'm going to rotate around to this right hand side. I'm going to place in a trapdoor, like this. Then I'm going to add in a couple of blocks. We've got 2 coming up here, 1 coming forward, and then I'm going to build up 3 high behind here. 1, 2, 3, and 7 high behind that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that should be to the same height as that log. Let's add in some stairs. We've got a stair coming here and a stair here. Then we've got a trapdoor up on top of that. I'm going to have a block coming down to this side and a slab here. Let's take a step back. You can see that throughout this build, I've got the oak wood and then spruce stairs, slabs, and trapdoors. That's because they are the closest in shade to the spruce logs. On top of this stack, I'm going to add in 2 spruce trapdoors. I'm flipping these up, and this is acting as this side's wall. I'm going to add a trapdoor on top of this stair next. Let's add in an oak log, and then I need to have a stair coming over to this side, just like this. Let's rotate around to the back of the build now. I'm going to start by building up 4 high here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 6 high beside that. This is going to end up 1 block below the logs we added in before. I'm going to add a stair in its place. I'm going to build 4 blocks in front of this, and 2 blocks to the side, and 1 block here. Let's add in a trapdoor here, and here. Then we're going to have a stair in front of there. Then we need to come up, and I'm going to add a stair upside down so it curves back out. We're going to add 2 logs on top of that, and then finish off with a stair here and a trapdoor in front of that. Looking like this. On to the final side now. I'm going to start with some oak logs, building up 5 high beside our gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's add a stair on top of this, followed by a trapdoor, and then 3 blocks. 1, 2, 3. And this should take you up to the top height. I'm going to add a block over here. Now you can see that by placing it in like this, it's going to have a different directional texture. So I want to make sure I'm placing it up like this so the texture all runs the same way. And you can use some temporary blocks to help you out. Let's add a trapdoor in up top here while we're here. Then we're going to come down and work here. Let's add in 3 blocks coming forward and 1 block here and a block to the side. Then over on this side, we're going to build up 3 high, 1, 2, 3, and 2 here, and 2 here. I'm also going to add in a couple logs coming forward. Then we've got some trapdoors, quite a few. And the last one's going in here, like that. Next, some slabs. Let's add in 1 here, and then a stair. Just like that. So let's have a look at our tree trunk so far. We've only got 1 root coming out, so we need to connect the rest on. Up on top of here is where we're going to add our treetop canopy. Before we do that, let's add in the last few roots. So we're going to have some roots coming off on this right hand side. Let's add those in first. I'm going to add a trapdoor in front of this block, then a block to the diagonal, and coming back in, then we've got a slab and a trapdoor down here. I'm also going to have a smaller root coming off this way with a slab and a trapdoor. Then we're going to come around to the back. I'm going to have a block come off to this side with a trapdoor on top of that. Then I'm going to have a block come back in. You can see this dips down into the ground, and then we're going to have 1 more slab just coming forward. Around to the last side now to add in our last 2 roots. So we've already got these 2 blocks coming forward. I'm going to add in 1 more log, just like this, and then a slab following in the diagonal. Now we need to connect up this section, so let's add in an oak wood block here. We're going to add a slab on top of this one, and then a slab coming back in on this side. The roots really do make this look like a tree. Our build is really starting to come together now, and we're on to the next part, which is adding in the tree house. So we're going to be up in the leaf canopy. So to make it not see-through, we're creating a base out of moss. I'm going to start by creating a square like this, and I'm going to build that up 1 extra block. There we go. Then we're going to create a platform. I'm going to build out 3 from each side. Once we've got this box created, we're going to go in with all of our leaves. So we've got this plus shape, and I'm just going to build a 2x2 square in each corner. There we go. I'm going to grab a temporary block next and just place this all the way around the outline. Then I'll grab some more moss and create an outline around this. And I can remove all of the temporary blocks. Next, we've got some frog lights, 1 on each side. And I'll build up 2 high with moss and add in 1 more. And I'll finish with 1 more moss block. I'm going to build up all of these walls to this height now. Before we do the roof, I'm going to come inside the build and build up the same height of these walls with some stripped spruce logs. You can leave these out if you want a little extra space inside. It would only be 4 blocks worth of space, but I think adding these in really makes it feel more purposeful. I'm going to use spruce slabs for the flooring, and I'm placing it at the top level of the 3rd block up, so you can see that there is a half slab width between the light and the floor above. Make sure we leave that gap so we can add in our glowberry ladder in a minute. There we go. Now we're ready to add on our roof. I'm going to start by placing in a cross beam coming across like this, and coming in from this side as well. This is to help me find the center. I'm going to add a temporary block, come underneath and remove the moss and add in a frog light. Then we can go ahead and just fill in the rest of this shape, making sure we cover up the spruce logs as well. If we take a step back now, you can see that it kind of looks like a silly topiary, so we need to cover this with leaves. Now, adding in the leaves is a bit of a time-consuming task, but it's absolutely worth it in the end. My trick is to cover the whole thing with a layer of leaves, and then I just like to fly in and out, or if I'm in survival, build in and out with scaffolding, adding in more and more leaves until I like the look of the tree. Every tree is going to be different, and that's just as it should be. So let's see, I've almost got this section completely covered in leaves, and you can see that we've got the moss there, so even though we only have 1 layer in, it's already starting to look full. So if I take a step back, I'll then go in and bunch up some more leaves, and I want to add quite a few. It's going to end up being about 4 deep. I like to have it with diagonals and corners like this. Little gaps in the tree help to add depth, and I'm just going to keep adding in more and more until I am happy with my tree. Once you've got a good base, you can take a step back and be more purposeful with where you place them. Like, I can see that this looks a little matchy-matchy, so I'm going to go ahead and change up this section and add a few more over to this side. Let's see, let's add in one here, maybe come up this way a bit more, and a diagonal there. There we go, it's not quite so even now. Let's continue doing this all the way around, and I'm going to start by placing a layer on the rest of this tree. So I have got almost all of my leaves in now. I might come back and add in some later, but I'm pretty happy with this for now. I'm going to grab some spruce stairs and spruce trapdoors now and come underneath my leaf canopy. Now this is going to depend a little bit on how you've added in your leaves, but I'm going to add in a few extra stairs and slabs, or rather stairs and spruce trapdoors, to give the look of branches poking through the bottom. Let's add a couple in here, and I think I'll add a stair here, and maybe let's add a trapdoor over this way, and just here. So you can see that when you're looking up, it kind of looks like the branches are sticking through the leaves just a tad. I might even add one more trapdoor up here. There we go. Alright, on to the next step. Now with our tree in place, we need to start decorating this top platform. We're going to be creating some archways that mirror the design we have down here. Let's start with some chiseled quartz blocks. I'm going to be placing these diagonally outwards from each of these frog lights. Then on the corners, I'm going to place in 2. These are just going up from the frog lights. These are the bases of our pillars. Now up here we're going to have a ruined look, so some of these are going to be complete arches and others are just going to be the pillars themselves. Before we add the pillars in, let's take some polished diorite slabs, and I'm going to be connecting up these chisel blocks. I'm going to be placing 2 to connect them up to the diagonal and just straight across here. There we go. Next, I'm going to take some mossy stone brick walls. I'm going to place these on top of all of these original chiseled quartz blocks. Then, for extra magical effect, I'm going to place an end rod on top of each, with an end rod on either side as well. already this is looking more intricate. To get the ruined effect, we're going to be doing each of our pillars separately. So let's start on the front on this left-hand side. I'm going to build up 5 high with my pillars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to place a slab on top of here. Then behind that, I'm going to add in an extra chisel block with a stair on top like that. I'm also going to add a stair over on this side here. And on top of this one, we're going to add in a diorite wall. So there are our first 2 pillars. I'm also going to add a slab over here before we move around and do a stair and a wall on top of this one. The pillar beside it is going to be looking a little bit more complete. We're going to build up 5 high again and place a stair on the front with a chiseled and a stair on the back. Then we're going to add a slab up the top and then 2 of our diorite walls. Just like this. For this next corner one, we're going to be creating the illusion of an archway, one that has crumbled down. So I'm going to start by building up 7 high, just like this. I'm going to add a stair to this side with a diorite wall on top. I'll count 2 blocks up and add in 2 more, like this. Then I'm going to add in a stair facing this way and a slab over here, a stair facing the opposite way next. I'm going to use some sort of temporary block to place another stair in here and then a slab coming this way. I'm also going to place a slab on the very top, so it'll look like this. Beside this, I'm going to add a slab on top of here. I'm going to build up just 3 high with my pillars, 1, 2, 3, and add 1 more block behind. Moving on to this one, I'll leave it as it is, and back around to the corner, I'm going to add in 2 more of these chisel quartz blocks and build up 5 high, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with a slab on top of this. And then we're just going to add a couple more decorations. Taking a step back, we're almost all the way around and we're going to have a complete archway on this side. I'm going to start with my quartz pillars, building up 8 high on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 7 high on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll create the archway in between these. Let's add a stair on top of here and on top of here, and then some diorite walls with a 2 block gap between, and I'm going to line this up at the top. So there should be a 3 block gap below this wall. I'm going to add a stair here. There we go, and a slab on top of that. And on the same thing on the other side. Let's go in with our archway next. We've got 2 stairs coming upwards, and you might need some sort of temporary block to place this one in. Then I'm going to add a slab here and here. I'm going to be placing in some pillars next, and I want these to face forward, like this. And we've got some more slabs. Finally, I need to place one just down here. And we've got a lovely archway. To give this a more ruined effect, I'm going to add an extra stair coming off in this direction. Let's add that down here, like this. I'm also going to have 2 stairs over on this side. I'm going to come to the back and add in a couple more of my chisel quartz blocks. And some stairs, just 1 on this side here, and a wall as well. So from the inside, it'll look like this. We've got one final section to fill in, and that's that corner. So let's add in 2 quartz pillars and a slab to finish it off. And if we take a step back, you can feel the idea of the ruined arches around the tree. Now the charming part about this build is the overgrown nature, so next we need to go in with lots of greenery. One thing I'm going to start with is by hanging some glow vines from the tree itself, and this is going to have such a magical effect, but we can't place the glowberries directly onto the leaves, so I'll remove a few blocks, place in some moss instead, and hang my glowberries from that. I want them to hang at all sorts of heights and be tucked in and around the tree. Once you get them to a length that you like, you can right click with a shear and they won't grow any longer. I can also go ahead and bone meal them to get some berries growing. So let's go ahead and add this greenery, and I'm also going to be adding some glowberries inside as my ladder. In fact, let's head in and have a look at how that will work, and I can come back out and do some more greenery adding soon. I'm also going to be covering the whole mossy area with lots of plants. So you can use some scaffolding to get all the way up to the top. We're going to plant our first glowberry here on this frog light, and then have them come all the way down to the bottom. Not only does this provide a great way to get up and down throughout your treehouse, But when we use some bone meal, we can make this glower, and this is a great way to light up the build as well. I like to make sure I go all the way up the tower, clicking each of my glowberry vines with a bone meal. That way the entire tunnel is illuminated. And there we go, we're at the top and we have all of our glowberries. I'm just adding in the final bits of greenery now, and then I'll take a step back and show you what I've done. You can see I've added in lots of glowberries hanging from this tree, and it really does look magical. But I've also planted tons of flowers up here on the platform. I've used yellow flowers to tie in with the yellow glowberries, and I think that this combination of the green, the white and the brown and the yellow really has an ethereal, naturey effect. As for the rest of the greenery, I've gone with ferns, some grass, as well as these small drip leaves. I've used some azalea leaves like I did in the tree to drape over the edges, and this helps with the lush feeling. You can also see that I've placed some of these glowberries onto the moss around the edges of the archways. Keeping this theme of greenery going, I've used the same flowers as up top to decorate all of my planters, as you can see. And in the landscape around, I've used the same flowers again with some touches of white with these oxeye daisies and these little azure flowers. Now that we've covered greenery, let's take a step back and have a look at this complete build. And I've done some serious landscaping really to highlight it. You can see that I've added a simple pathway weaving around, and I've gone with this very natural pathway with browns to tie in with the brown in the tree. And I think this helps ground the build as we have the brown at the top and at the bottom. I have a bridge coming over a custom river here over to a small area, and you can see that I've mirrored the designs of the archways in some ruins around the build. Whenever I'm decorating a build, I like to use the materials from the build itself in the exterior decorations. So you can see we've got the spruce like we have in the tree, the quartz like in the archways, and I've used stone brick for this bridge with lots of moss, of course. And since this is such an elegant build and it has such a lot of grand detail, I've kept the rest of my gardening relatively simple, so that way the build really is the showcase. I've made it night so you can see this next detail. If you're in creative and have access to these invisible lights, a really great idea is to chuck a few of them up here onto the tree. It gives it an extra enchanted feeling. You could achieve a similar look in survival by tucking some more frog lights inside the tree. And with the shaders like this, it really has a wonderful ambiance. Alright, now that I've got those in, let's take a step back, wait for the light bulbs to disappear, and wow, it does look magical. So now you have a show-stopping enchanted treehouse temple. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd really appreciate it if you consider liking and subscribing, and check out my Patreon if you'd like to support me further. I'll see you in another video.